Mr. Mayor, you are live.
Thank you for the heads up. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 5:03, Wednesday, November the 9th. It's a regular meeting of the governing body. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilor Lindell, salute to the New Mexico flag led by Councilor Romero Worth, and invocation remembrances begun by Councilor Lee Garcia. Please rise and face the flag.
First off, I just want to say a quick prayer, and again, for all of us as public servants and governing body and all the people in our community, that we all definitely know that we have different perspectives on things that go on in the political arena. We have different point of views, but I think our ultimate goal is to create a better society for everyone. And with that, I'd like to ask the Heavenly Father to look over us this meeting. I'd like to ask for all involved with our procedures and just to always have an open mind towards everything. And grant us that we all are good public servants to our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Eduardo Gonzo Gonzalez, former city councilman, of the city of Santa Fe. He was a community member, person who was involved with our community, past president of our Santa Fe Fiesta Council for years. And we lost someone in our community that definitely contributed and was a stand-up community member. So leave it open to anyone else who wants to remember.
Thank you.
So-
Others who'd like to speak up? Councilor Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize if I might break my tone, but Edward, as I know him, Uncle Edward. We lost him last week. I do want to share some excerpts from an article written by historian Ana Pacheco that was in the New Mexican some time ago. So please indulge me. He was the youngest and last surviving of the 12 children born to Leopoldo and Elizabeth Valle Gonzalez. His mother's family were French trappers that came to New Mexico in the 1800s, and his father's family goes back to the early settlement of Santa Fe in the 1600s. He still lived on the property his grandmother, Agripina Delgado, lived on Delgado Street. He got the nickname Gonzo in 1947 while working for the circulation department at the Santa Fe New Mexican. He said, our boss used to shorten everybody's names, so if you were Gutierrez, he became Guts. So his name is given, his name was Gonzalez, he got Gonzo, and the name just stuck. He attended St. Michael's High School, graduating in 1955. He worked as a water resource specialist for the state of New Mexico for 28 years and retired in 1983. He's been married to my Aunt Pat for over 60 years. They have 3 children and 2 grandchildren. He served on the city council representing District 2 in the 1970s. And thanks to his parents, he felt the need to share his civic duties. As he said, my father served on the city council in District 2 in the 1930s, and I believe we are the only father and son appointees to have served the Santa Fe City Council representing the same district. In addition to his father's public service, his mom, my great-grandmother, also served as the New Mexico Secretary of State from 1935 to 1938. Volunteered on many community boards and was a member of community organizations A couple of highlights of his community service was when he was on the board for the restoration of the Santuario de Guadalupe, and he served with the Santa Fe Fiesta Council. He devoted more than a quarter of a century to each of these two organizations. He is proud of his involvement with these organizations because he helped to raise $1 million needed for the restoration of the Santuario. And he was not only a former Fiesta Council president, but he was instrumental in starting the Arts and Crafts Fair for the Santa Fe Fiesta. Just outside the chamber halls, there's the dedication plaque from when City Hall moved here in the 70s, and his name is on there. So every time, excuse me, every time I pass, it was a proud moment. So, I can con Dios, uncle. Will be missed.
Thank you, Counselor. Others? Yeah, go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to recognize the life of Ted Trujillo from the Chimayo area. He recently passed, and I'm friends with his children, and just wanted to recognize that he was an educator as well as an administrator and an attorney for Rio Arriba County for a long time until his decline with dementia. And I just was thinking about the impact he had. The students that he served or that he led and educated were, I think they just really enjoyed learning from his cultural awareness, and just really connected with students in so many beautiful ways and with the community. And so I just wanted to do a shout out to his beautiful life and the impact he had on so many people in the Chimayo and Rio Arriba and Santa Fe County area. Thank you.
Thank you. Others? I will add my condolences to the loss of Gonzo, as I knew him working with the Fiesta Council over the last 5 years. What a bright spirit, and what a committed Santa Fe, and what a gift to our city, service in so many different ways. Be missed, and he will be celebrated. Others? If not, let's just take a minute to reflect on the lives of folks we've lost and wish speedy return to health to those who are ill and support to those who are grieving. Thanks, everybody. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes, Mayor Weber,
Present.
Counselor Cassett. Here. I will note that Counselor Chavez is excused for this meeting. Counselor Lee Garcia,
Here.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Present.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera.
Here.
Counselor Romero Worth,
Here.
Councilwoman Villarreal.
Present.
You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, what do we have in the way of items removed from consent?
Mayor, we have item V removed from consent.
D as in David?
No, V as in Victor.
D as in Vic.
Yes,
And that's the only one?
it is the only one. I also, Mayor, if I could make a quick announcement that the Midtown cases are not on this agenda. They're on the November 30th agenda. But I would like to just clarify that we've received information
Okay.
about people inquiring on that meeting date. So just a general announcement, Midtown is not on this agenda. It is on the November 30th
Thank you.
body agenda.
Move to approve as amended. Second.
There's a motion to approve as amended. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes, Mayor, we had Councilor Romero Worth with the motion, and I apologize.
Councilor Lindell.
With the second. Okay. All right, Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia, Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Mayor Ward,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Consent agenda has been approved as amended.
Thank you. First item then, Madam Clerk, I believe is item 8A. If you could bring that forward.
Yes, item 8A is our fiscal year 21 audit update by Emily Oster, our finance director, and Ricky Bejarano, our accounting officer.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the prep work and accounting catch-up work continues with the firm of CLA. With the audit, I'm happy to report progress is being made. They've reviewed a majority of the items that were already done by the previous contractors, and they're essentially doing more and more audit prep work in anticipation of beginning the audit December 1st. We've had at least one expert from CLA for the past 4 weeks on site, in addition to 4 others that are working remotely, and we meet with them almost daily. And as well, we always have an update meeting with CLA every month. We also touch base with CRI, who is the new audit firm, and they still anticipate getting a listing of the items that will be needed for both audits to us by the middle of this month. That's all on track.
Good evening, members of the City Council. I have a couple of other updates from finance that we wanted to share with you. In regards to staffing, we have a new analyst starting in budget at the end of this month, and we're very excited about that. We are also conducting interviews next week for financial analyst positions. We have 3 vacancies in that classification, and we hope to fill all 3 through a multi-hire process. On the federal grant side, we're wrapping up a review with the Federal Transit Administration, and we've been working closely with the Public Works Department and with Tomas Martinez in Transit. So we hope to finish that up by the end of this month. We are doing UAT, user acceptance testing for the Munis upgrade this week. And that is the super user portion, which is most of our finance department users are in that category. Then we'll move on to department users for the user acceptance testing. And this is an exciting phase of the Munis upgrade. This is where our users actually get to try things out and test out posting transactions and doing their day-to-day work in the upgraded version of the system. I am pleased to report that the finance department staff that have been doing the user acceptance testing this week are reporting that they're feeling comfortable and confident about the upgrade. The new system is very similar to what we're used to. In some ways, it's more modern and more user-friendly, so that's really good. And although the upgrade is like for like functionality, so we won't be adding anything new post-upgrade, we are working on a priority list for some very important enhancements that will help us a lot going forward. A couple of them that I expect to be at the top of the list are an API, which is an automation and interface between the Kronos payroll system and the Munis accounting system, and then also the utility billing system. And in both of those cases, we need to upgrade both sides. In the case of utility billing, we're moving to the advanced billing system. And in the case of Kronos, we're moving to a newer version. And those automated interfaces will help us in many ways. They'll cut down on a lot of manual work, they'll reduce errors, they'll improve accuracy, and they'll provide additional control over our financial information. So excellent modernization efforts going on there. And then the last thing that I wanted to update you on is we've been doing some remodeling to our physical office space here at the other end of the hall. So our team in finance has welcoming space. And as we're transitioning to more in-person work, that's really a very nice benefit for our team to have nice remodeled office space. With that, we're happy to stand for any questions.
Are there questions about any of the items, audit or other finance priority issues? I see a thumbs up from Councilor Garcia. Anything else? Thank you both.
Sure.
Madam Clerk. That means we move to,
Item V. So Mayor, item V is consideration of a resolution. It's sponsored by Counselor Cassett, Counselor Chavez, Councilwoman Villarreal, and Counselor Michael Garcia. It's a resolution adopting the City of Santa Fe Multimodal Transition Plan.
thank you. I know there are sponsors who may want to speak to this. I believe I was the person, there may have been others who asked to pull this. And I'm happy to take the floor and explain why or entertain comments from the sponsors. Counselor Garcia, did you want to go first and then I'll follow your comments?
Not necessarily to make comments, just I think we got
Beg your pardon?
a
We need a motion? Yeah, motion first.
move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion to approve and there is a second. If not, as the person who asked to pull it, I have the floor. I want to indicate my reason for pulling, and that is that I intend to vote against this, not because it's not important, but because it is so important that I think we must take a harder look at the product and try to improve it. I think there were 2 years of hard work, and when I read the document, it doesn't, in my mind, measure up to the urgency of the situation or the opportunity to make a significant difference in our transportation policy, our land use policy, our environmental policy, and our social policy. And I'd like to give a few examples as to why I think this is underwhelming as a significant, important document for the city's future. And I'll begin with philosophy. Page 4 of the document, there is a very significant statement of philosophy. It says, it should be noted that this plan does not emphasized, have the goal of penalizing or restricting auto use. And yet the entire goal of the plan is to move the city away from our auto dependency toward a much more balanced transportation program. I don't think you can achieve that without disincentivizing auto use. And the classic text on this is Jane Jacobs and the Death and Life of Great American Cities, where she talks very eloquently about the erosion of cities by the car or attrition of the car by cities. Taking a neutral position on the impact of automobiles on the city and asserting that from the beginning, we're not going to try to do anything to disincentivize auto use, to me is tantamount to raising the white flag of surrender before we even get started. So philosophically, I don't agree with that. Policy and programmatically, I think we have significant opportunities that have, or significant issues that have been flagged without solutions that are commensurate to both the challenge that auto dependency poses to the city and the opportunity to do something significant about it. And I'll just identify a number of them. First, the report starts out by identifying the amount of land that is devoted to the automobile. In downtown Santa Fe, 54% of our downtown land is devoted to streets and parking. Midtown, 72% devoted to streets and parking. Southwest, 66% devoted for streets and parking. If you were simply to focus on downtown Santa Fe and ask the question, what's the highest and best use of the heart of our city? Parking and streets would not meet that test. And yet I don't see any evidence in this document that says we're going to reclaim land from the automobile and convert it to community uses or constructive economic uses. Climate change and the automobile. According to our sustainability report, excuse me, almost 35% of our greenhouse gas emissions in Santa Fe come from transportation and mobile sources. If we were to embrace all of the recommendations in this document, I don't actually believe that needle will move in a significant way, simply because we're not being aggressive enough, bold enough, or willing to take hard decisions to disincentivize the automobile in favor of transit and bikes and pedestrian use. There's not a mention in this document about linking to the general plan and the rewrite of the general plan that's going on right now. The word density does not appear in this document. The biggest challenge in any city in attempting to corral sprawl is not to chase land use with transportation, but to use transportation planning and land use investments so that we diminish sprawl, produce density, and serve developments with transit rather than waiting for development to occur and then chasing it with more transit service. I don't see that philosophy in this document. Social policy. If you do the math, according to this document, roughly 91% of the people in Santa Fe are in one way or another transit dependent. Youth, older adults, ambulatory disabilities, people below the poverty level, households with 0 cars, households with 1 car, 91%. That is a startling statistic. If we actually have 91% of our residents who are transit dependent, then this proposed set of actions will absolutely not meet the test of providing the level of service and the accommodations to that transit dependent population. The document indicates that work-live land use patterns are not in any way connected. People work on one side of the town, live on the other. That is a fundamental challenge that has to be addressed, and it has to be done with more than light touches. It takes a significant commitment to blending land use and transportation. I don't see that in this document. The notion of our walk score and our bike score. We have a walk score of 40 and a bike score of 50. If we did everything in this document, I have no confidence that those numbers would significantly change. The latter part of the document addresses parking. And I believe parking is absolutely a policy choice that needs to be managed in support of more transit use. And yet the parking strategy doesn't seem to be linked to, or the parking policies don't seem to be linked to a strategy that would contribute directly to more transit and bike and walking use in our community. I also, there's a big challenge about what the modal split is in Santa Fe. I didn't see a number in the document that identified the modal split at peak hours today in home to work commutes. But I would be very doubtful that implementing this plan will significantly alter the modal split for home to work commute trips. So I think we've labored mightily and produced a mouse. And I think it's an absolutely essential piece of work. I think it's a critical issue. I think it links to all of the issues we're dealing with as a community in terms of finding a way to grow, but grow smart and grow in a way that links transportation, land use, housing, social justice, and economic justice. Those are absolutely critical issues for this community. And this report, in my estimation, comes up short. I would rather not adopt it and instead do more work to really dig into these assumptions and policies and make it even stronger, make it even bolder, make it even more visionary, and make it something that will link directly and decisively to creating the future of the city of Santa Fe that we want, when it comes to these interlocking issues of transportation, mobility, where and how people live and work, what the quality of our climate change commitment is, how we move the needle on reducing the footprint that comes from transportation. I don't want to settle for good enough. I want Santa Fe to lead the way in recognizing the significance that transportation plays in investments that guide our future. So to me, it's unfortunate that after so much hard work by so many people, in my estimation, we simply don't have the boldness, the visionary effort, the level of willingness to make major changes and focus on the kinds of changes that will fundamentally produce the future that we want for people in Santa Fe and going forward. So it's not so much a matter of asking questions. I'm happy to, at a later date, sit down with our team and walk through my concerns, but I think it's an important issue, and it's too important to simply pass it because it's in front of it. And so at least as one vote, I can't in good conscience vote for the plan. Thank you. Others who wish to speak? On that being, I see no other hands. Madam Clerk, do you want to call the roll?
Yes, Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
No.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Mayor Worth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
No.
Motion has been approved.
Thank you. What's the next item, Madam Clerk?
The next item is matters from the city manager.
Wow.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this will only take about 5 hours. Just kidding. First of all, we are still working to land a final date for the legislative breakfast for you all to meet with our delegation. We hope to get that to you soon so we can give you some options to make sure it works in your calendar. We'll have more soon. Our remote work policy is going to go out this week to city staff. We're going to give staff about 2 weeks to sort of have time to make arrangements for family plans. And, you know, if you have kid care or pet care or parent care or whatever it is, to work with their department supervisors. We have a number of staff who are on a remote work policy now that's just sort of been, has grown out of the COVID pandemic. And so this is sort of formalizing a longer term remote work policy. And so there may be some changes. Some staff may be in more, some staff may be in less, but all staff will have to go back through their supervisors to request permission. And this is sort of modeled and similar to a lot of remote work policies you see at the state government level and across New Mexico. As the finance director mentioned earlier, we are moving full steam ahead with our Munis upgrade and with the training that's coming with that. We had a great meeting today with IT, finance, and our HR departments about going from what we would call our super users, who are the people that are eating, breathing, and sleeping in Munis all day, every day, to people like me or others who probably use it 3, 4, 5 times a week, but to make sure that everyone's getting the training they need and we're on track. So we're very excited about that. And we're still on track for a late January upgrade. So we'll keep you posted about that. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Pauline. I want to thank Director Brown for the study session last week and for making it happen. Our IT staff also did a lot of work to make sure that cameras worked and the sound worked, et cetera. So I thought it was a very productive meeting, and I appreciate everyone's cooperation in trying to get questions in and the way you frankly treated each other and treated the panelists. So that was really, I thought, very productive. Thank you all. We are back sort of about to be at the negotiating table again with the county regarding a joint powers agreement for RACC. City Attorney McSherry, Director Ochoa, and myself had a productive meeting with the county manager and his staff last week about that. We are working to land a time for next week for Councilors Lindell and Cassett, myself, and a few others to begin coming back to the table about negotiations around the final pieces of annexation that have been ongoing for a while. So we're hoping to wrap that up very soon, and we'll keep you posted as decisions are made and what's getting done. I didn't think it was appropriate to sort of step in during remembrances, but I just wanted to flag a woman named Marguerite Salazar, who was the superintendent at the Regulation and Licensing Department, passed away a few weeks ago. A native of Colorado, but spent a lot of time living in Santa Fe. She was an appointee of President Obama. She was a regional HHS director who helped implement the Affordable Care Act. And ultimately, cancer took her at about the age of 63. So send best wishes to her. My final thing really is just to say a huge thank you to Maria Sanchez Tucker, our library staff, and everybody who was engaged in the Santa Fe Big Read program over the last few months. I was fortunate enough on Saturday night to go along with Councilor Villarreal to, I think, what was the big event sort of at the end, which was to have the author of the book there, Tommy Orange, speak, take questions. I know that it was broadcast live on the Santa Fe New Mexican website, and Director Sanchez Tucker is working right now to see if we can get a copy of it so we can share it with all of you so that you get a chance to see it. But it was really, I think, really important for a lot of the Native American students who go to the Santa Fe Indian School who participated in the, what I would call a talk back, but the countless events they did across the city over the last few months that we have asked Director Sanchez Tucker for some data, but the number of people they touched in Santa Fe who read this book, who had really important conversations about how Native stories are told and who tells them. I just thought it was a really, like, particularly in light of the chart conversation that you all are having, I thought what Tommy Orange and the questions that people had were about would be beneficial for everybody. So just a great job to everybody in Team Santa Fe for doing that. And that's it for me, Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, who gets to speak next?
Our city attorney.
Mayor Weber, councilors, I had intended to jump in on the agenda approval to recommend that we either remove or postpone the community plan that's on introductions tonight to the 30th of November. The attachments on there are not the attachments for the community plan. They are for the link text amendment. So the community development plan was not loaded with the agenda on Friday. But I think the advantage of the 30th is that it gets to go to a couple committees before it will be in front of the council for discussion instead of just one. So do recommend that when we get there. And then thanks for everyone who signed up for policy meetings with the policy team. We're about halfway through the 9 counselors. I think we've done about 5 of the 9 of you. If you haven't signed up for a time, please reach out to Jesse to set that up. I think they've been really productive going through counselor priorities, mayoral priorities, things that are on the agenda for the future. And just making sure that our new policy analyst is familiar with you and your policy interests. And as he does research on other things, he can keep his eyes open for things that are out in the future, but then also understand the context for anything that's on his plate currently that he's helping us with. And then we are also going to be sending out that form to get feedback from the counselors and from the mayor about what would be most useful to you for requesting policy research in the future. That's all I have. Thank you.
So when we get to that item on the agenda, you'll raise your hand and instruct us on what to do.
I can do that, Mayor. Yes.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, is there somebody next in line?
Just kidding. Yes, Mayor Weber, I have a few updates, matters from the city clerk. I did want to join. I thank everyone that joined us for the Harvest Festival and just highlight that Councillor Cassett did a wonderful job on her special story time. And she also had the cutest little costume that I'm sure she'll talk more about, but no, oh, I'm sorry, your son's costume. Yes. Wally, he was the coolest costume. I also wanted to note that we have the first serve tomorrow for the Herb Martinez tennis courts at 1 p.m., which we're very excited about. And then invite everybody to the Veterans Day event that we have planned on Friday. It's at 11 a.m. and we do have burritos and coffee for our veterans. We also will have live music from 11 to 1. And I do want to note that we have several organizations tabling as well as speaking, and we have presentation of the quilt. I also will note that our office ordered pins, flag pins that are available for all veterans at our rec centers. So we've been working with our recreation centers and our golf course, and those are available starting tomorrow for our veterans, which we're really excited about. I did want to note that we also hired the web content specialist position. I will be sending out a citywide introduction email for that position, but we're really happy to have centralized content for our brand new website. And then lastly, I did want to just say thank you to Daniel Diaz. He is leaving constituent services, but moving to a wonderful position in public works. And so I wanted to just acknowledge that we enjoyed having him and his efforts were amazing, but also wish him well in his new endeavor. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Communications from the governing body. Let me start to my left with Councilor Rivera.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing this evening.
Travel reports, reports from the front, family
I've
reports.
been traveling, that's why I don't have anything. to
All
say
right.
tonight.
All right, Counselor. Well, welcome home. Counselor Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank everybody that was involved with putting together the chart meeting that we had last week. I think there was constructive conversation. But I guess the question I'll pose is what's next? I think we had time to ask questions to the ARPA Life team, but I think I would like for us as a governing body to have a conversation around what's next, what can we do, what can we not do, et cetera. And I think the appetite is there, and if we can schedule something soon, that would be fantastic. Big thanks to the streets team. As folks know, with precipitation brought about tons of potholes. And they've been eagerly filling those. So just many thanks to those folks filling them as they get, as they form. Also want to give a shout out to Daniel Diaz for all of his time, effort, and support he provided as a constituent services liaison. He was fantastic. You sent him an email and you got back an email promptly. I mean, he left some big shoes to fill. So many thanks to Mr. Diaz. And just want to wish a happy Veterans Day to all veterans out there in the community and thank them for their service to our nation. And with that, no other comments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. What's your name? City Manager Blair, about the event on last Saturday, the NEA Big Read for the book There, and just hearing from the author was pretty amazing. Tommy Orange, and just wanted to give a shout out to the library team on putting that event together. I've been to the NEA Read events, and it was a large event. It filled up how many? 500. That was, wow. It was well attended, engaging. People asked great questions, and it was just really inspiring. And let's see, I wanted to wish my dad a happy birthday, which is tomorrow. And I'm sure he'll say he's 10 years younger than he actually is. I asked him yesterday how old he was, and he told me a funny number. I'm like, okay, Dad, that's great. You look young. So if you feel young, you could go with that age. So just I'm excited to celebrate his birthday with him tomorrow. And also just thank you for letting us know. We knew that Daniel Diaz would be moving on to his new digs with the city, and just wanted to let him know that I appreciated his responsiveness and also just patience in so many ways. I'm sure that he had a lot of things from all of us coming at him, including other things that we aren't even aware of. And he was very, it was just helpful to be able to navigate certain things that sometimes I just can't figure out. So I really appreciate, please let Daniel know that we send him our regards to the next exciting job that he's going to have with the city. So thank you, Daniel. And I think that's it. Oh, and happy Veterans Day to all my family, friends, and people in our community, and looking forward to Friday's event. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Lindell.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, happy Veterans Day. Nice celebration for all of us. Also want to thank every person that ran for public office. It's a daunting task. Looking at the faces of some of those folks in the last week, the campaigns that they ran, the miles that they covered in the state. I'm sure if they kept a diary of what they ate in the last 10 days, it would be a little horrifying. But winners and losers. We function best when we have a choice. And I'm a believer in that. And we carried that out and we pulled it off. And I'm grateful to everyone that ran. And I would also want to wish my dear partner, Maria Sanchez, a happy birthday coming right up. She has a way of making the ordinary extraordinary, and I've had the pleasure of that for 26 years, so I'm grateful. Happy birthday, kiddo. I hope it's a good one.
Thank you. Counselor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. I too am looking forward to the celebrations on the plaza, off the plaza. Also, I had one other thing. What was it? Veterans Day and just slipped my mind. Oh, well. Yeah, that's all right. I think that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Counselor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to reiterate the thank you to the library team, as well as to Christine and to Alex and community engagement for the harvest party. It was really wonderful. We had a really lovely time. And thank you, Councilwoman Villarreal. Maybe I will talk about my costume because it was a lovely dress that Councilwoman Villarreal gave me that allowed me to throw together a costume because I did not plan ahead for me. My tiny human did make an adorable Wally. So but it was a really fun event and the kids had a great time, and the library staff as always just really got into it and put together such a wonderful community event for everybody. Also, as Madam City Clerk mentioned, we are having the groundbreaking, the first serve for the Herb Martinez tennis courts in District 4. And I really want to thank Melissa and her team for pushing that through and getting those courts up and running. I did have a constituent email that she utilized them earlier this week and that they're wonderful, and just really a lot of appreciation from the neighborhood and from the community for getting those fixed. So thank you so much to everybody who was involved in that. And I look forward to the first serve tomorrow. And then I also really want to thank Daniel Diaz for all of his work. He's been incredible. There's a lot of emails coming his way. I'm glad that he is staying at the city. And then we will definitely miss him in constituent services. And I frequently had a lot of compliments from constituents about him. And they would write to me to let me know how helpful he was and how quickly he was able to get them answers and solve their problems. So big shoes to fill for whoever's going into that position. And we were really lucky to have him there for a while. I also really want to give a huge thank you to the water standby crew, as well as City Manager Blair and Director Shannon Jones. I had a constituent call me last week at 5:45 p.m. and their water was not on. They had been having some construction and the water did not get turned back on. And I immediately called John. He called Shannon. Shannon called the standby crew, and the water was back on by 7:40. And this constituent was really not expecting to get their water back overnight. And so they were incredibly grateful. So I really want to recognize the team that came out and took care of that on such short notice after hours. So John, please make sure to pass that along to the team for me. And happy Veterans Day, everybody. Oh, and also this is our last meeting before Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy holidays. We're getting into that holiday season. For those of you who are traveling, please travel safely and enjoy your time with your family, and happy Veterans. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all of our veterans. And I do look forward to celebrating on the plaza on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Garcia.
Mayor, wanted to give a shout out. Couple weeks ago, we did the ribbon cutting for the roundabout there near the police station on the south end of town, and kudos to all the people who made that happen. A lot, some of the comments from the community is like, why is it so big? It's a big roundabout, but it's going to serve the area well with the police station, the business district that's there, and the upcoming transit facility that at some point will be built. So kudos to everyone, Ramela and everyone involved. Daniel Diaz, yeah, thank you. Great asset to our city, and glad he's not leaving the city, going somewhere else. I did want to mention that Veterans Day again. November 10th will mark 247 years since the founding of the Marine Corps. And I used to have a dear friend of mine, his name was Ralph Leba, and we shared the same birthday, so we had like a really good connection. He was probably 50 years older than me, but his Marine Corps buddies would come into the, to our store and happy birthday. And it was November 10th, November 11th. And they were so proud to have a day that they could identify with each other and cry with each other and just, be who they were and the experiences that they had in their lifetime. And so Semper Fi to all those Marine Corps veterans and all veterans together that, lay their life on the line for us, defending our country and our democracy. And I think with that, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I'll be brief. I want to double what Councilor Lindell said about folks who were on the ballot yesterday. I know all of us have friends who were running for a number of different important offices, statewide or local, state legislature and others. And we all know, because we've done it ourselves, it's a grueling experience. And it's even harder when you're coming out of COVID and you're dealing with the aftermath of all of those issues. And so many great thanks to people who are willing to put themselves on the line on behalf of the state of New Mexico, on behalf of Santa Fe County. It's a really critical exercise of democracy. So it's not always about whether you won or you lost. It's whether you stood for something and tried to make a difference. And we're grateful to everybody who put themselves on the line. Looking forward to Veterans Day as well. And Christine will be sharing the agenda so everybody knows what the program looks like. I'll be thinking of my dad, who was in the Army in World War II, my uncle Jack, who was a Navy pilot in the Pacific, family members and friends who have given so much to our country and our community by stepping up and serving our country. As is often said, Veterans Day ought to be every day, not one day. And it's a chance to say thank you. Coming up on the 12th, I believe, we've got some feast days of Pueblos that we can all, don't take your cell phone, but you can go watch a dance and participate at Tsuke or Jemez. And then, of course, Thanksgiving is coming up, and it's a chance for the whole community to celebrate coming through COVID and giving thanks for all the things we should be grateful for. And an attitude of gratitude is always appropriate, especially for the opportunity to live in this community. Yes, I see two hands being raised. Councilor Garcia, you're at the far end. You go first.
I just wanted to mention that I won't be a part of the Veterans Day celebrations that we have. I am committed to celebrate the life of Hermano Ted Trujillo at his Mass of the Resurrection on Friday. So I will be there and won't be able to attend these. He was my teacher, mentor, and hermano. So my apologies for my absence, but I'll be there in spirit for sure.
Thank you. Councilor Merworth.
Thanks, Mayor. I just remembered, I also wanted to give thanks to Daniel Diaz and all the hard work he did in constituent services. Wish him well over at Public Utilities. Thank you.
Well, he'll be taking care of our stoplights. So we need him desperately wherever he goes. And thank you for all of the communications from the governing body. Madam Clerk, let's move to item 15 on the agenda.
Mayor, if I could, I forgot a huge event. The biggest event that we put on is the day after Thanksgiving, the plaza lighting. So I just wanted to remind everybody to save the date for that. How could I forget? So anyways, sorry about that, but save the date. We are doing the plaza lighting. It is the biggest event we put on of the year. I think when Counselor Cassett said we don't meet before Thanksgiving, yes, light bulb went off. So
So to speak, a
uh,
light bulb
light bulb.
went
No
off. See
pun
what she just did?
intended.
That city clerk.
She's funny sometimes. Oh, okay. So introductions of legislation is the next item on our agenda, and the first item is item 15A. It's consideration of resolution sponsored by Mayor Weber. It's a resolution approving first quarter budget amendments for fiscal year 2022 and 2023.
And I think that doesn't really need much explanation, and it'll work its way through the process.
Wonderful. Item 15B is consideration of a resolution sponsored by Counselor Cassett and Councilwoman Villarreal. It's a resolution in support of the appropriation of funds by the New Mexico Legislature for New Mexico grown fresh fruits and vegetables for schools and senior meal programs and related education programs for schools and farmers, excuse me. I apologize.
Counselor.
Thank you. So this resolution is, this is the third year that we've done this one together. Third together. You've done it for a while. Where I've been here. Again, showing support. So how we can really be growing our local food system and encouraging and assisting organizations for being able to purchase local food. We know that having a strong agricultural system within our community is really important. And being able to support that has health benefits. It has sustainability impacts. So really just a wonderful opportunity for us to continue to support our local farmers and make fresh fruits and vegetables that have not traveled thousands of miles on trucks and planes and however else they get here and causing more carbon to go into the universe to be eaten by our children and our seniors and all of us. So really excited to be able to support this again. And thank you so much to the Santa Fe County Food Policy Council for all the work that they have done, really promoting this legislation and advocating for our food systems.
Councilwoman.
All I add is to thank the New Mexico Food Policy Council that also is involved with this legislation and other legislations or requests for appropriations that are very important for our food system in New Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you. Now comes the aforementioned item C. Madam Clerk, you should read it and then our city attorney will advise us.
Okay, the next item is item 15C. It's consideration of a resolution sponsored by Mayor Weber. It's a resolution adopting the Midtown Community Development Plan for the Midtown Redevelopment Project.
And Madam City Attorney, you had some advice.
Mayor Weber, I do advise that we either just remove it from the agenda or move to postpone it until November 30th.
Is there a motion?
So just to make sure I understand, postpone its introduction.
Correct. Yes, just the introduction.
So I've moved to postpone the introduction of item 15C until November 30th.
Yes, Councilwoman Villarreal.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to also add for the committee review to add the Community Development Commission as part of the pathway. We'll be meeting on November 16th, and I think there was a plan to have that presented to us. So I wanted to add that to the path.
Mayor Weber, councilors, that would be before the introduction. I think it could still go there in its draft form if that's the plan by the staff, but the idea would be to introduce it on the 30th.
Well, we have it on our agenda, so.
Mayor Weber, councilors, I think it was also the intent was to have it on this agenda as well. So I think there might be some discussion of it at that committee. Sorry, it's not signed off on as complete yet. So it hasn't been loaded.
Okay, so do we need to amend anything? If it's going to reach us next week, but it'll be introduced on the 30th formally, correct?
Member councilors, so if we're postponing the introduction, then the whole schedule will change at that time. So we'll have to add a schedule when we do that introduction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm,
Other
Right.
comments,
that's it.
questions? Can we call the roll, please?
Yes, Counselor Lindell. Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Mayor Worth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes,
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Item has been postponed for introduction until 11:30.
thank you. No, it's, all the clock on the wall says 7 o'clock. It's actually 6 o'clock. And we have come to petitions from the floor an hour ahead of the usual time. Do we want to jump? Well, we don't have a lot more work to do other than appointments. And I hope people who are watching or listening, who are waiting or would be joining us at 7 aren't going to miss their opportunity to participate. Do we have people waiting to participate on Zoom in petitions from the floor?
Mayor, we do have one person attending the meeting virtually, but I'm not sure if they're here for public petitions from the floor.
Is there anyone in the room, in the chambers, who wishes to speak from petitions from, at the opportunity for petitions from the floor? Yeah. What's the advice of the governing body? How do you want to handle this? We're an hour ahead of our usual 7 PM effort for petitions.
Mr. Mayor, I think we should move on to appointments, which will be quick, and then take the break as needed and start at 7, since we do commit to starting at 7 and people anticipate 7 is the public
Second.
hearing or petitions, I should say.
So why don't we have a motion to skip petitions from the floor and move instead to appointments? Do that and then entertain a break, coming back at 7. So we'll be on schedule for petitions from the floor. There's such a motion
So moved.
for a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Mayor Worth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes,
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
So that, with that having been voted on, we move then to item 20 on the agenda. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mayor, that is appointments for the Arts Commission. We have 3 reappointments. One of Paul Hultain, a reappointment with a term expiring in October of 2024. Rashawn Ahmad Morris with a reappointment term ending in October of 2024, and Anne Wrinkle with a reappointment term expiring in October of 2024.
Is there a motion?
so moved.
Motion has been made to approve these appointments. Is there discussion? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes, Councilor Romero Worth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes,
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez. Oh, see, I'm going so fast. Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
The appointments have been approved.
thank you. Well, that now leaves us roughly an hour to have a little bite to eat and come back at 7. We stand adjourned till 7. My pleasure. We are streaming live and it is 7:01 PM and we are back in order. And Madam Clerk, I believe we are at the petitions from the floor, item 16 on our agenda. Previously, we had at least one person, I believe, in the Zoom room who wanted to speak to the governing body. So let's do that.
That person is no longer there, Mayor, so.
Is there anybody in the room who would like to take the opportunity to use petitions of the floor to address the governing body? No. Is there anybody in the Zoom room who seems to be interested in addressing the governing body on an item that is not on the agenda?
There is nobody in the Zoom room, so.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. It is 7:02 and we are adjourned.